What's happening, friends? Sean Fury here, Mr. Hero Support, Hero Support Guy, your friendly neighborhood guide to the good life. Welcome to this week's episode of the Empowerment Zone. I thought this week we might talk a little bit about culture conflicts, what they are, why they happen, and how to deal with them when you're a person who identifies as an empowered problem solver, right? Or as a guardian of the good life. If you're someone who's trying to do things in a way that will bring about a positive effect, an effect that is going to be good for you and the other living beings in the places where you spend your time, it's going to be important that you're able to recognize which stage of change you're in when it comes to creating situations that are good for the human in you, right? Because even though we'd love to live in an ideal world, a utopia where all social environments are set up for psychosocial health and functioning, the ability for us humans to feel good naturally through good rapport with others, right? And we all behave ourselves in a way that makes sense and leads to the goal of success in life for people in general, getting our needs met, right, through a sense of community. Unfortunately, we don't live in that world, but we can try to be co-authors of the moment and create that world one moment at a time, especially if we're a person who is trying to feel good naturally, right? So that we don't have to seek out artificial sources of feel-good chemicals. If we want to experience that naturally, and you don't have to be in recovery to get that experience, right? You can just be a typically functioning person in the community that wants to feel good. And you can do that by creating experiences that feel good naturally, right? They release endorphins. So, guys, as you endeavor to create and protect the kind of situations where living beings can be well and do well in life, you're going to notice you get some pushback, right? People are going to push you back. They're going to push back the change that they see you making. And maybe you're not even trying to make a change, right? You're just trying to live your life and exist in that environment. Maybe somebody even invited you into that environment in order for you to do what you're good at, right? Bringing about positive outcomes for people. So that's one thing that I do in my day jobs, right? I'm good at that type of stuff. But one of the things that can happen is that if you're in a situation that hasn't been set up for success in that way previously, for whatever reason, or maybe not everybody that's a stakeholder in that situation has been on board in the past with that, you might find that they don't like what you're doing. And it's usually because someone has felt as if they benefited from things being the way it was before you got there. And so maybe that's not really rational. Maybe it's not really reasonable. Maybe they weren't really benefiting in a positive human way, but they were benefiting in a comfort zone kind of way. Like maybe they were, they had put a lot of effort into creating a situation in which they could exist with a feeling of comfort where they didn't have to look at themselves. They didn't have to think about the impact that they were having on the people and the living beings in that environment, right? They didn't have to think about their social footprint, as they say in the climate change, discussions. We have to think about the effect of our actions in order to be good stewards of the day-to-day situations that are going on with us, right? I know growing up in the Judeo-Christian household, I remember in the Bible it says to be a good steward of the earth. And to me, that's a manager, right? So my whole spiel as hero support guy, that's my life coaching and peer support business. I support people by helping them with their knowledge and their frame of reference, their skill building and habit opportunities and plannings. And then I help them to understand how to navigate obstacles and opposition on the way to creating the life that they want to have, right? In the moment, in the short term and in the long run. And so in other words, I'd be great for helping people out that grew up in families that didn't teach them how to be successful as a human being, as an adult, right? Teach them how to manage situations for positive life outcomes. So, back that up a little bit, where I was going with that is that people are trying to create these situations, but they're in an environment where someone else has already set up the environment for comfort zone, ness. They've created a comfort zone so that they don't have to look at themselves. They don't want to think about how to grow. They're stuck. And instead of facing who they are and becoming a more evolved, consciously created version of themselves, instead of becoming their best self, they're just insisting that everybody else adapt to their way, right? You don't get to have what you want in life. You don't get to be your best self because that might interfere with me